Hey, what's going on? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Foul Pole to Foul Pole Daily Show, brought to you by my friends over at the Carolina Patriot Collegiate League. I'm your host, Coach Tyler, with Black Diamond Softball and Fitness. If you guys are looking to take in some summer softball action, look no further than the CPCL. The Fayetteville-based Summer Softball League is coming this June and July. From incoming college freshmen to seasoned veterans, this league is there to help athletes stay sharp, find their fit, and bring the ultimate fan experience. Check out cpatriotcl.com to register, and fans, you can go over there and check that out, and it'll give you all the information you need to stay up to date. This episode is brought to you by Nexus Mount. Say hello to the ultimate solution for capturing game footage, Nexus Mount. Our turnkey kits provide a secure and hassle-free way to attach multiple devices to any fence, net, or tripod. Crafted from lightweight aluminum with a powder-coated finish, our mounts are built to last. But that's not all. Our innovative design features a removable shade cover to protect devices from direct sunlight during outdoor streaming events, minimizing the risk of overheating. Don't settle for anything less than perfection. Unleash the full potential of your streaming experience with the Nexus Mount. Visit us today at thenexusmount.com and elevate your game. All right, man. Today is Tuesday, March 19th, and we are rolling right along as we get a little bit deeper into conference play in the NCAA. And we're looking sort of towards what the postseason is going to shape out to be. A lot of good teams, a lot of solid ball, and I'm really liking the parity across the board. We still have some dominant teams out there like Oklahoma, like Oklahoma State, Texas, and there's some other front runners as well. Duke's looking really well. But then there's some that are kind of scattered throughout that are surprising some folks. You're looking at a Clemson or maybe a Boston, someone like that are playing some really good ball. So I'm really excited about this season. And I can't wait to see how it all shakes out. You know, the crazy thing is the softball season goes by so quick. It's like, man, it's here. And then all of a sudden it's gone. For me, it's like it goes from Clearwater to Oklahoma, and that's it. And it's just like a couple of months goes by in a couple of weeks, it seems. But anyway, today I wanted to congratulate Coach Patty Gasso. She is the only coach, doesn't matter the sport, but the only coach in the Big 12 with 400 conference wins, which is incredible when you think about how long she's been there, what she's done to the program, what she's done to the game of softball, just in general. She's a great leader, a great mentor. Everyone that has ever, spoken about her, talked to her, anybody like that, man, they just talk about how great she is. And I've heard a lot of her speeches. I watch a lot of her stuff. Really like the way she carries herself and how she makes everyone around her better. And for her to get 400 wins in conference play is just, it's incredible. So kudos to Coach Patty Gasso. Congratulations. And that kind of leads me to the episode today. I want to get back into talking about culture, talking about character and those kinds of things. I mean, we here in South Carolina, we are a couple of weeks into the softball season, softball regular season. Varsity games and stuff like that are starting. Conference play or region play, if you will, is kind of going on. And you can kind of see the teams that have a good culture and teams that are kind of just really thrown together. The coaches don't really have, control, if you will, if control is the right word. They don't really have a sort of a grip on the team. And you can see that. You can see the teams that are locked in, and then you can kind of see the teams that are just out there playing. And if you listen to a dugout, or if you listen to a fan base, or if you listen to the parents, and you can kind of tell that. So, as a coach, of course, I don't coach high school ball as for a high school. I do coach the high school level as far as travel ball is concerned. But one thing I always talk about players when I bring them on is we look at character, because character is the thing that will always stick. You're going to have good games and bad games. You're going to have ups and downs. There's going to be moments where you could be upset with yourself over a play, and then you can snap out of it and keep playing. Then there's going to be moments where you can strike out in a big moment and it hits you a little bit harder, or you could have a ball go between your legs, or you drop a pop flyer, something like that. But it's how the coach responds to it. And I've been around this area for quite some time now, and there are coaches that do it differently. There are coaches that do it way better at helping these kids overcome adversity than there's other coaches that are out there that don't do it very well. We're in a day and age now where everything is seen, everything is heard, and it's on replay. Just the other week, I was at a game, and it seems like I may have been the only one that saw it, but come to find out I wasn't the only one that saw it. But the little girl grounds out to shortstop. And as she's running through the bag at first base, she sticks her elbow out and slams it into the girl at first base. I know that girl saw it because I know she felt it, but I could see her reaction as she turned and looked at that base runner like, what's that for? So I didn't really say anything. I didn't bring too much attention to it. I talked to a couple of my buddies and asked them if they saw it. And they, of course, some of them did. And then the other ones just said, I wasn't paying attention. She was out and that was it. So I went back to Game Changer just to see if I could see it. And of course, it's plain as day right there. I was shocked, but when you look at the team and their coach, you kind of say, okay, well, this to them it's no big deal. But if it was a team that I coached, that would have been addressed almost immediately with that. And so that's a difference sort of in cultures. Same team, different scenario. Had a girl up to bat. There was a strike on the inside corner. Her first reaction is to yell at the umpire and say, that ball almost hit me. And the coach didn't address it. The head coach, he actually condoned it by going in on the umpire as well. And wouldn't you know it, there was a girl in the dugout that starts chirping at the umpire saying, you've got to call it both ways blue. That's just stuff that just can't happen. If you're a coach and you're allowing that kind of stuff to happen, it's probably time to go ahead and hang up the whistle and the clipboard, because you're doing not only a disservice to your team, but a disservice to the game, to the fans, to the sport in general. Just anybody that's coming and going from the softball world. If somebody was there, maybe some college coaches were there, some scouts or whatever, were watching that game, there to see maybe a player had identified and said, hey, coaches, we got a game tonight. It'd be awesome if you could come out. And they actually did show up and they were able to watch it. And they watched how you coached and they watched sort of the atmosphere. Here's that key word. They watched sort of the culture that their maybe future PSA is playing in. You're going to hurt her chances because they're looking at where she's coming from, what tutelage that she's gotten, what leadership she's been under, and the way you carry yourself as a coach and the way you discipline and the way that, you have you're trying to help these girls build their character. If they see something negative, that's going to rub off on that student athlete that you have under your control right now, under your command right now, as far as you're the head coach, she's your player. Right. So, I go back to that word all the time, reproach. Man, you have to be above reproach, no matter what. You're put in these situations to where things go on and you have to correct them. It may not be the popular thing to do. And I'm guessing, the older I get, I see that the more popular thing to be or to do is to be less disciplined, to run away from correcting folks for whatever reason. But I can't change who I am. So maybe I'm the outlier, but I don't think I am. My fan base understands where I come from on this. The people that listen to the podcast, they get it. They understand it. But I'm tired of seeing the way players act on the ball field and it not be corrected by the ones in charge. I am tired of listening to parents in the stands who can say whatever they want to say and think that it's okay. There's this one fan that I hear pretty much every time I hear at the game. She's always talking about what the coach should be doing, why he isn't doing this, why this player's playing, why that player's not playing. Talking about 8th graders shouldn't be playing high school varsity and this and that. And this is why you don't do this. And she comes from this, like she's up on some pedestal talking down. And it's gotten to the point now where there she is sitting in the crowd by herself. The only people that sit with her are the ones that come with her. You see what I'm saying there? So that has an effect on the game itself too, by fans and parents. We were at a game not too long ago, and you hear one guy say, "Yeah, rip her head off," and it's just like, how are we okay with that? Being a thing. How is that a thing where a grown man is able to tell another or to tell a player to rip another girl's head off? I get it in, heat of the moment, the passion, whatever. I understand that, but that's not, no matter what the situation is, you shouldn't say that as a fan at a high school game. It's gotten out of control. And the reason that it's gotten out of control is because the ones that are in charge haven't done anything about those situations, those scenarios. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. It doesn't matter if it's soccer, football, baseball, basketball, softball. It doesn't matter the sport. You look at these umpires, that's all they do. They just get beat up all the time. So if you've got players that are on the field disrespecting the game, disrespecting themselves, disrespecting the other team, disrespecting the umpires, disrespecting the other coaches and stuff, eventually umpires are just going to be like, you know what? It's not worth it to me to be out here to do this. So it's like this whole thing, like we're trying to protect this sport. And the ones that have probably the primary job of protecting the sport, because I throw that word growth into protecting. If we don't grow the game, we won't have a game to protect. So while we're growing the game, we have to protect the game. So as we're teaching these kids the skills of how to field a ground ball, how to hit a cutoff, how to hit backside with a runner on second, as we're teaching these things, we also have to teach them how to go about it, how to keep your mouth shut instead of saying exactly how you feel in that moment, allowing it to happen and then just cool off a minute. Like, hey, I know this here made you mad, but your reaction is what's going to be seen. And there's certain images that are just burned in your head as a fan, as a parent, as a coach. There's certain images. And if you're too scared to do what's right, then you're also too scared to coach the game. So coaches, when you get into a situation when it comes like, man, I know I should say something, but I'm going to get ostracized if I say something. Hey, get ostracized and move on. People are going to respect you more. People are going to applaud that decision. People are going to stand by you more and say, hey, you know what? No, he did the right thing, or she did the right thing. You look at her, she handled the situation like she was supposed to do. She addressed that player that acted out of character, and then boom, they moved on from it. But if you never address that, if you don't address that in that moment and move on from it, it's rough. Man, I've seen players argue with coaches in the team huddle about having to run polls. There's teams out here, like if you have some errors or if you have some strikeouts or for whatever, coaches are going to punish the players for that, and they make them run polls. But I've actually seen a little girl argue with the head coach saying that I'm not going to run those polls. It wasn't my fault, instead of owning it. But then again, that starts at home. And that's just a completely different story. If parents aren't around and they're not able to raise their kids and this and that, but they expect them to play great, and when they don't, if they have some errors and they have punishment, those parents are going to get mad at the coaches for holding their kids accountable because they didn't hold their kids accountable 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago. They were either allowing someone else to raise the kids, or they didn't want to raise the kids, or whatever. But all of a sudden, this motherly instinct or fatherly instinct comes in. It's like, oh, you better not call my kid out. You know what I mean? And what it does is it takes all those good apples in that basket and starts to turn them sour because you have two bad apples. So, you look at it from, you got kids that are transfer high schools and come in, and then here they are into the new fold, and they get there and it's like, whoa, what's going on with this culture? You know what I mean? And then over time, they either get better or they get worse. They're not going to stay the same. Either their character gets better or their character gets worse. They won't stay the same because they get older. They get a little bit more mature, hopefully. They get more experience. So they're going to change one way or the other. And it's your job as a coach, as a teacher, as a mentor, whatever you want to call yourself, to continue to grow them and grow the game. Anyway, I'm going to jump off here. I'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate you guys checking this one out. If you know somebody likes this type of stuff, make sure you share it with them. And as always, if you share it with a friend, be sure you tell them you love them.